Alright folks, today we're going to play Last Night on Earth, the zombie game. Okay, now, I'm actually filming this after the game, so I left some stuff as they were, so it doesn't look weird when they transition from the setup and rules overview to the gameplay. Okay, now, Last Night on Earth is a zombie game for 2 to 6 players. So basically, we are in the town of Woodinville, alright? Okay, so now, basically what the game is we are in this small community here, a small town, alright? And one player or several players will be playing heroes, and one or several players will be playing zombies, alright? And we are trying to complete the objectives of a goal, alright? So now, the first thing we're going to do to set up the game is we're going to have the players choose whether they're going to be heroes or zombies. Okay, now the game comes with these hero player boards. Alright, the players playing the heroes will take one of these player boards, okay, each if it's 4 people playing the heroes. Okay, no matter what, there's always going to be 4 hero characters playing the game. Alright, so you can do this in several ways. You can randomly, give them out, shuffle them up, randomly give out the heroes, or you can choose them. Jen's already done this. She will be the heroes in this game. Okay, once you do that, you'll take any remaining hero boards and throw them back in the box. They won't be used for the game. The heroes will also take the hero deck here and place it near them where everybody can reach them. All right, and once they've received their player boards, they will see if there's any starting items and go through the hero deck and take those starting items and give them to the hero. Okay? Then the heroes will find their figures and, place them near them for the time being. We'll get in where they go in a second. Once we get the board set up, I explain how that works. Okay, now the zombie player will select the zombie figures. Alright, and this works in a couple different ways. Okay, depending on the player count will depend on how many players play what role. Alright, in a 2, 3, or 5 player game, zombies are controlled by one person. In a 4 or 6 player game, 2 people will play zombies. One will play the 7 orange zombies, and the other will play 7 green zombies. There's a total of 14 zombies. Okay. Now with the heroes, it's the same way. If there's 2 players, that player will play all 4 hero characters. If there are 3 players, then one player will play 2 hero characters, the other player will play the other 2 hero characters. If there are 4 players, one player will play 2 hero characters, the other player will play the other 2 hero characters, and then each player for the zombies will get their 7 figures for the different colored zombies. Okay, 5 players, one player will play the zombie. The other 4 players will each control 1 hero. And in a 6-player game, everybody will control 1 hero that are playing on the hero side. The zombie side will each control 1 set of zombies. Now the zombie players will receive this zombie deck, and you will shuffle that up, place it near everybody that's playing the zombie so they can reach it. Alright? We will also give each player one of these reference cards. Okay, they're double-sided. One shows the hero turn order, and the other shows the zombie turn order. We'll give each player one of these. Any remainers go in the box. They won't be used. Alright? Now the game comes with 5 scenario cards. Okay, and these scenario cards will tell you, some set up the rules of the game, the objective of the game, stuff like that. If there's any special rules, stuff like that. Okay, we will not be playing any of the scenarios in the base game. We're going to be playing a scenario that comes from Flying Frog's website. They have several different free scenarios that you can print off. Alright, it's a PDF file. We'll be playing All Hallows Eve. Okay, so meaning that we're playing this printout, we'll return The other scenario cards to the box, they won't be used for this game. Alright, now once we've selected the scenario cards, or the scenario that we will be playing, we're then going to set up the board. Now, as you can see, the board is made up in this scenario of 5 separate boards that are put together as one. Okay, the center board will always go out first. It's double-sided. Alright, one side has the manor house, which is only used in one scenario in the base game. The other side has the town center. Okay, that's the side we're going to be using. Okay, now as you can see, these corner boards are all separate boards. And what we did was, there's 6 that come in the game. Alright, we randomly, shuffled them up face down, selected 4 of them, and this is what we came out with. Alright, and then we simply just put them together to make the board. Alright, now, once we have done that, the hero players would select their starting positions. Now, in other scenarios, the starting position will be written on the top right of the player card, and that'll tell you where that player will start. As in the case of Sheriff Anderson, his character will start in the police station. Alright? If the board does not have the player's starting location on it, they always start in the center space in the town center. Alright, however, for this scenario, all of the heroes start in the town center, in the center space there. Okay. Then we are going to take the Soundtrack board here, and I'll place it next to the main board here, where everybody can see it. Okay, we're going to take this Soundtrack token, the marker here, and we're just going to simply place it on top of the Soundtrack board for now. A little later on during the zombies' turn, we'll actually place it on a round, but for now we'll just place it on the board. Now the game comes with this truck and tractor cardboard cutout. We will not be using it for the scenario, so we'll return it to the board, to the game box. It also comes with this kill marker here, which is only used for the introduction scenario as far as I could tell. We will not be using that. We will return that to the game box. It will not be used. These here are wound markers, and they will, tell you how many wounds each hero or zombie has in the case of a hero zombie, which we'll get into later. Okay, we're going to take those and place them within easy reach, everybody. I'll give them over here to Jen. Now, as I mentioned, we have the hero zombies, or zombie heroes rather. Okay, these tokens represent them. So we will take these guys here and we'll place them off to the side of the board. Here we have the lights out markers. Okay, certain cards in the game will trigger a building to have their lights turned off. Okay, and this token will be used to represent that. We're going to place them next to the board where everybody can reach them, along with these taking over markers. Okay, again, they are triggered by card effects. Alright, we'll put them off to the side of the board. These guys here are new spawning pits. Alright, normally throughout the game, zombies will spawn in the corner or on the edges, or wherever these red X's are. Okay, now card effects will allow you to spawn new pits, and that's what these guys are used for. So we're going to place them near the zombie player. Now there's an assortment of other tokens that are used throughout the game in house rules or certain scenarios. Okay, such as Old Betsy here. He can actually be drawn from a card effect. Stuff like the bio canister, gas marker. Stuff like that. Okay, we're going to take all these odd and then tokens, going to place them off to the side of the board. We may need them later on. Now, as you can see, we have these townsfolk markers already set up on the board. Like I said, we've already played the game. This is just going back and showing you the setup of it. All right, we are actually going to use these in this scenario. Okay, so they have pictures of townfolks on one side and the word townfolk on the back side. All right. for this scenario setup, we are going to go through the hero deck here, and we're going to draw the cards for each of those town folks, and then we're going to set those cards face up off to the side of the board where everybody can see them. Okay. Now, normally, in most scenarios, you wouldn't do this. You would simply just shuffle the townfolk cards into the hero deck, and then you would take these markers and just put them back in the box. They wouldn't be used. But for this specific scenario, we are using them. Okay, now we have these dice. Alright, just give each player a handful of these dice. Usually, depending on the player count, I give 4 and 4 or 2 to each hero player, and the rest to the zombie player. Okay, but decide how to divvy them up. You might need to share them later on in the game. We are also going to use these number markers. Okay, now the game comes with 8 of these numbered markers. Okay, for this scenario, we are only going to use the number markers 1 through 6. 7 and 8, we are going to replace, send it back to the box. They won't be used for the game. Okay, but the other ones we will be using. Okay, and I'll show you how they work in 1 second. Alright, so now back to these hero tokens, these townfolk tokens. Okay, now for All Hallows Eve, what we're going to do is randomly select a building to place these townfolk tokens in. Alright, and the way we did that was we took one of these D6 and we rolled it and we referred to the center tile here to that number. Okay, so here we have 3. As you can see in the corner, we have the number 3, which points to this end tile. Alright, once we did that, we rolled the die again to get a number, and we looked at the individual buildings, which will give you numbers. Like in this case, we have the barn here, which is number 1, 2, and 3, and then we have the farmhouse, which is 4, 5, and 6. So, being that we rolled 5, we would place Jeb here in 5. Alright, so first we rolled 3, we'd refer to this end tile. Then we rolled 5, we refer to this building. And then once you do that, the zombie player in this case can place the token in any space in that building that they choose to. Alright, and we did that for all of the 6 townsfolk. Alright, once we did that, we took those numbered markers that I was saying, okay, and we gave these guys a shuffle. Oop, forgot one. And we gave these guys a shuffle. Alright, and then the zombie player, without looking at these tokens, placed them underneath the town folk tokens. Alright, now we also have this book token, which is specific to this scenario. Alright, what the deal is that there's a zombie master. One of these town folks is the zombie master, and he's controlling the zombie horde that's taking over the town. Alright, this book is what he is controlling it in, and the game is called the Book of the Undead. So what we did was, throughout the game we will be able to interrogate and find these town folks and see which one is the zombie master at some point in time, and he will be carrying this book, which is controlling the zombie horde. So we took another die and we rolled a 2, and that determined which townfolk with the numbered marker 2 underneath him is the zombie master. Okay, and we'll just place this off to the side of the board for now. The Book of the Undead does not come in effect until the zombie master is actually found. Alright, next for the setup, we're going to load the board up with zombies. What we'll do is we'll roll a d6. Okay, it was actually a 5 in the game. Alright, and then we will start placing zombies on one of these zombie spawning spots, these red X's in the corners or the edge of the board. Okay, now the only rule you have with that is you must place one zombie on each spawning space before you can load it up with another zombie. Okay, so if I had a space where I wanted to put more zombies out, I would have to fill in all of them that had one zombie first before I could add another one to a spot that had 2 zombies, and so on. Okay? Now the last step to set up is to give the first player marker to the heroes so they can keep track of which hero will be going first. And you are ready to play Last Night on Earth, a zombie game. Okay, folks, here we go. Last Night on Earth. Now, Last Night on Earth is broken up into basically 2 phases. First, the zombie players will go and they will do their actions in order. If we look at the reference card, it'll tell us what these actions are. There's 6 of them. Alright. We would move the sun track marker, draw new zombie cards, roll to spawn new zombies, move the zombies, fight heroes, and then place newly spawned zombies. And then the heroes would go, and they have only 4 actions, so they can move or search, exchange items, shoot a ranged weapon, and then fight zombies. Now the first action for the zombies is to move the sun track marker. Now on the first turn of the game, they would simply place the sun track marker on the round of the game, okay, where the game would start, what round the game would start on. Alright, the cards will tell you, and also on the printout here it tells you that our game will start on round 16. Alright, now on the sun track board for the base game, it also tells you in this black area, where each scenario will start. Now remember, that's only on the first turn of the game for the zombie player. Throughout the game, from then on out, he will simply move the sun track marker down 1 space on the sun track board. Alright, then the zombie player will draw cards. Now, on the first turn of the game, the zombie player will draw 4 cards, and this will be his hand limit throughout the game. Alright? If he had a full complement of 4 cards, and he, at this stage in the game, on his next turn, he could choose to discard 1 card, and then replenish that with a fresh card from the draw deck, going back up to 4 cards. Alright? If he was down to, say, 2 cards, he used them in the previous round, he would draw back up to 4 cards. Alright, so that's the draw card phase. Now, there's a few different types of cards for the zombie player. They are all event cards, but the different cards will have some keywords on it. Alright, one of them is play immediately. So, when you draw the card, you're supposed to do it one at a time. As soon as you draw one of these cards that say play immediately, you would automatically, read it out loud to the other players and do the effects of what the card is. Alright? Some of them have this remains in play. So this happens to be a play immediately one that stays in effect throughout the game. But when these cards are played, then you will leave this card out face up for everybody to see, and it will stay in effect until a hero can cancel out the effect through cards of their own or something to that effect. Alright. Now, also, if you read it, it'll tell you at what point in the game you can play these. Some will say play at the start of the zombie turn. Some will say play at the start of the hero turn. Some will say stuff like play when 2 heroes are in the same spot. Okay, and some have the keyword fight on them, like this undead hate the living. Okay, that means you can only play this card during the fight phase of your turn. Okay, or if you're being attacked by the hero player. We'll get back to that in a second. the zombie cards are all event cards. The heroes cards get a little different. There's weapon cards and event cards, and we'll get into them in a second. Once you have filled your hand up to 4, and remember you can have no more than 4 cards as the zombie player, you'll then move on to roll to spawn new zombies. Okay? Now, in order to roll to spawn new zombies, you would take 2d6 dice and give them a roll. Okay? If the result of that is greater than the number of zombies out on the board, then you will be able to spawn new zombies later on in your turn. Okay, so in this case we have 5 zombies out. The result is 10, so we will be able to roll to see how many new zombies we will place out in this placement of the new spawn zombie action. Alright, what we do is take 1d6 and give it a roll. Okay, and now the result of that is how many zombies you will take out of your zombie pool and place in your spawning pool. Okay? Now obviously if you do not have the number of zombies equal to the die, you would take as many as you can up to the result of the die. Alright, so say if I had 3 zombies left and I rolled a 6, then you would only take the 3 zombies that you have left in your zombie pool and place them in your spawning pool. Okay, after we do that, we will move on to the movement action for the zombies. Now zombies can only move 1 space. Okay, zombies can move orthogonally, up and down. They can move diagonally, doesn't matter. Okay, zombies can move through walls, either orthogonally or diagonal. That does not matter to them. Alright, but they only move 1 space. Okay, now if they are in a space next to a hero, they must move to the hero. And if they are in a space with a hero, they cannot move out of that space. Okay, this is called insatiable hunger. Alright, so that's the only movement rule with a zombie. Now, once the zombies have done that, they would fight. Okay, if they are in the same space as a hero, they would then fight the hero. Alright, and we will get into how the fighting works in a little bit. But for now, let's just remember that whenever a zombie is in a space with a hero, the hero must fight all zombies in that space. Okay, whether it be 1 or 3 or 4. However, if, say, we have 2 heroes and 2 zombies in the same space, then the heroes can choose which zombie will attack which hero, and vice versa. Okay? If we have, say, 2 heroes and 3 zombies, then the heroes would choose, they would basically pair off, and then the heroes would choose which hero would fight the last zombie. Okay, we want to keep the zombie to hero ratio as close as possible when fighting, pairing them off and all that. At any point during a zombie's turn, they can play their zombie cards as long as they are allowed to, according to the text. Okay? During the fight, they could play a fight card, a card with the keyword fight on it. When they're moving, they could play a card that will allow them to roll a die and potentially move more spaces than they normally would, or stuff like that. So then the zombie's turn is over, go on to the hero. Now, if we take a look at the hero cards, we can see that the heroes have different abilities and stuff like that. Okay, now with the wounds, most of the students have only 2 wounds. The older townsfolk, or heroes, have at least 3. Okay, now we have the name of the hero and their starting location, like I said, and below picture of what they look like, that you would sort through the menus there and find their figure. And then some keywords here. Alright, the student and female in the case of Jenny here. Now the keywords underneath the picture of the character, you want to pay attention to. Some of the card effects will affect that. And then it has special rules for them, okay? And each hero has different abilities that they can use. Alright, like in Jenny's case here, so she's handy, she may add or subtract 1 to any roll when testing if a hand weapon breaks, okay? The different characters have different abilities that you can use through different action phases of the game. Okay, and then, like I said, below that is their wounds. Okay, the heroes can choose which order the heroes will go. Okay, so if it's one player playing all 4 heroes, that player can choose whether they want, their 3rd hero to go or their 1st hero to go or whatever. If it's more than one player playing the heroes, then they can choose which player will go first with which hero. Alright? So the first action they have is the move action. Now, during the move action, they can do one of 2 things. Okay, they could choose to search or they could choose to move. If they chose to move, they would roll a d6, and that will tell them how many spaces they can move. Okay? Now, the same thing goes with the zombies. They can move orthogonally or diagonally. It's their choice. And as you can see, the spaces in the center board are a little bigger, so it's a little quicker to move across the town center than it is on the outer edges of the board. Okay? But heroes do have a few restrictions when it comes to movement. The first restriction is they cannot move through walls. Okay? The second restriction is they cannot move diagonally through a door. They have to move straight through the door. Okay? As you can see here, if we look at the board, these black outlines represent walls, and the openings in the black outlines represent doors. Another restriction is if they move into a space with a zombie, they must stop and fight that zombie, unless their player boards give them a benefit that lets them move on rather than fighting, or stop and fight and then move on. Okay? If they have to stop due to moving into a space with a zombie, the rest of their movement provided by the dice are null and void. Okay? You lose whatever you do not use. Okay? Now, you do not have to use the full amount of dice or movement actions on the dice. You can choose to move one and then stop if you want to, or you can choose not to move at all. It's your choice. Okay, now if a hero starts in a building, that hero can search. Alright, to do this, we would simply draw the top card off the hero deck and place it in either your hand or attach it to one of the heroes. Alright, now a hero can have up to 4 items attached to them. They can have up to 2 weapons and then up to 4 items. So they could either have just 4 items, or they could have 2 weapons and 2 items, or they could have 1 weapon and 3 items. The main thing to focus on is they can have 4 cards attached to them, but only 2 of them can be weapons, and no more than 4 cards can be attached to a hero. Okay? Any other cards could be placed in their hand and played anytime that the card allows them to, like the zombie player. Okay, now if we look at the board, we can see that the board is split up into spaces divided by white lines, and in some of the buildings they are black lines. Okay, each one of these spaces is bordered by these white or black lines. Okay, you can see it gives you the name of the building, and then some buildings have special instructions for it. Okay, like here at the cornfield, it says zombies must roll a 4+ to find and attack a hero that is in the cornfield. Alright? Some have keywords, like here at the gun shop, it has the pickup keyword. What that means is, if you are in that building during the hero, if the hero is in that building during their movement action, they can pick up whatever the building instructs you to out of the discard pile. Okay, instead of searching, they could pick up a usually weapon out of their discard pile. As I said, there's a couple different cards for the heroes. There are green and silverback cards, okay, which are weapons, like the baseball card. The baseball bat card here is a silverback, that's a weapon. And then we have like this greenback card here, gasoline. It's also considered a weapon. Okay, and then we have the golden back cards, which are events. Okay, now the hero cards also have the keywords play immediately, as in the case of just what I needed, and remain in play like Faith. Okay, and they do the same thing as the zombie cards did out of the zombie deck. They also have different keywords. Okay, such as combat bonus. Combat bonus can only be used in combat. They can only be used once per combat, but they can also be used in addition to another combat bonus. So, like say we had the baseball bat here, we can combine it with the crowbar here. Okay, so we could add the two up, but it can only be used once per combat turn. So if you're going to attack like two monsters, you can only use it for one. Alright. Another keyword here we have is range. Okay, they're used for like handguns and stuff like that. And we'll get into exactly how that works a little bit later on. But we have the range card. Alright. There's also some symbols on the cards, like with the range, we have the gun symbol, meaning, it's a gun. With the gasoline, we have the fire symbol. Okay, these can be useful for certain scenarios, and the scenario will tell that in the search items part of the scenario. Alright, so that was the move action. The next action a player can take as a hero will be the exchange items. Okay, as long as two heroes are in the same space on the board, they can exchange items. Doesn't matter if the active player is taking an item from one of the inactive players in the same space as him or not, or just giving the inactive player one of his items. Okay, you can swap items. Alright, the next action is the shoot a ranged weapon. Okay, so if a player had a ranged weapon, a gun or something, they could shoot at a zombie at this stage in the game. Okay? Now, the ranged weapon will tell you the range of that weapon. Okay, so in the case of the revolver here, it has a range of 3. So, say this was the active hero, he could shoot a zombie up to 3 spaces away. Alright, then you would roll a die and see what the result is. In the case of the revolver, if it's a 4 or more, you would kill the zombie. Alright, so the zombie would get removed from the board. Some of these ranged weapons, or weapons in general, have additional text on them that will say you have to roll another die to see if it's out of ammo or if it broke or something to that effect. Now, there are some rules with shooting ranged weapons. Okay, first, a ranged weapon cannot be shot through walls, alright, or open doorways. Okay. However, you can shoot a ranged weapon if the player with the ranged weapon is adjacent to a wall. Okay, it's like shooting it out of a window or something to that effect. The final action a hero player can take is fight the zombies. Like I said, if a hero and a zombie is in the same space, the hero must fight all zombies in that space. Alright, if there are more heroes and more zombies in the space, he would pair them off, trying to get to a number equal for each hero to fight. Okay, so if there's 2 zombies and 2 heroes, one hero would take one zombie, one hero would take the other. If there are 4 zombies and 2 heroes, then each hero would select 2 zombies. Okay, try and get as close as a pair as possible there. Alright, now during the combat, the fight section of part of the game, we will roll dice. Okay, the hero will always roll at least 2 dice, and the zombies will roll 1 die, unless there are card modifiers. Okay, so we roll the dice, see who rolled what, resolve. A hero will win if he had roll higher than a zombie, and it is the highest die in the dice that they are rolling, not a die for a die. Okay, so in this case, the zombie rolled 1, the hero rolled a 2 and a 6. The 6 would go against the 1, the 2 would just be disregarded. and the heroes would win. Okay? If that happens, the heroes just deflected the zombies. Nothing really happened. Okay? The zombie and the hero would stay in the same space. Okay? If it were a tie, then the zombies would win and the hero would take a wound. Okay? You would then take one of these wound markers and place it on your hero card. If the wound markers equal to or exceeded the number of wound spaces on a hero's card, that hero would die. You would remove the hero card and his figure from the game, select a new hero, and place him in the center of the board in the center space. Any cards that the hero had when he died would go to the discard pile. Now, if a hero rolls doubles that are higher than the defense die that the zombie rolled, like here we have 2 6s, then the zombie would die and be placed back in the zombie pool. When a hero is killed, in the black section of the sun track here, they become a zombie hero. You place one of the zombie hero tokens underneath him, and then for all intents and purposes, they become a zombie with a couple special rules. Okay, the same rules will apply to the zombie master here. When a hero becomes a zombie hero, all of their abilities and equipment and all that is stripped from them. They become a zombie. The zombie player controls them. They would take the hero's figure along with the hero's card. Alright, I'm not sure which one this is, but we'll just say it's Sheriff Andy here. Okay? And then they would become a zombie. Alright, now a couple differences is if they were to move, instead of moving one space like a normal zombie would, you would roll the D6 and figure out the result. The D6 in the case of a zombie hero will act as a D3, meaning if we rolled a 1 or a 2, the zombie would move 1 space. If we rolled a 3 or a 4, the zombie would move 2 spaces. If we roll a 5 or 6, the zombie would move 3 spaces. Okay? So the zombie would move, and he would do the same thing as the regular zombies. If he's in a space with a hero, then he would attack the hero. Okay, there's a bit of a difference with the zombie hero when it comes to wounds, though. Okay? If a hero rolls a kill on the zombie hero, instead of dying like a normal zombie would, he would take 1 wound. Alright, and then you would place it on the zombie hero's card. Once the zombie hero takes 2 wounds, he's removed from the game. He's officially dead. Alright? Now, whenever a hero's character is killed, they would remove the hero figurine and card from the game, unless the heroes that got killed became a zombie hero. And then they would replace their hero with another hero, and that hero would start in the town center. Okay, and that's how you play Last Night on Earth.